Welcome to Spotlight, where we feature super cool creatives and decode how their craft defines culture, sparks trends, and disrupts convention. For this episode, I had the privilege to speak to Ogilvy's executive creative director, Sakshi Choudhary. In her illustrious career, she has worked on mega brands like Dove, Coca-Cola, Google, Volvo Cars, Mondelez, and Absolute. And her work has been consistently recognized at One Show, Cannes Lions, D&AD, and Clio's. But this episode is not about her advertising career. In fact, we discuss her path-breaking platform called Indian Creative Women, which works hard to bridge the gender gap and amplify diversity in creative leadership across the Indian advertising and design industry. So let's get right into the episode. Indian Creative Women is such an important initiative that addresses a pressing need in our industry. And I would like to start off by knowing how it all began.
Back in 2017, I was part of this program called See It Be It at Cannes Lions. It's a special program. It's been designed to accelerate women's careers in creative leadership. It's a 4-day program. It's really structured, curated to give women mentorship. There are masterclasses with industry leaders. There is access to jury rooms. And I think my biggest takeaway from that program was just seeing the sheer number of women leaders who existed back then, and being in one-on-one sessions with them discussing their challenges, their struggles, their goals, their vulnerabilities. So I definitely came back to India back in 2017 with a goal in mind to replicate some of that and start a platform that could help women just talk about issues together. When we started back in 2017, the female leadership in India wasn't the best at that time. I mean, of course, it was way better than the past, but it wasn't ideal. So this program started as an informal, this community started super informal. It started as a Facebook group, and then we made it a lot more structured. I think COVID really helped us to get our ducks in a row and figure out what our goals were, what actionable solutions we wanted to introduce to the industry.
In one of our offline conversations, you mentioned that people question the need for this platform. Like, why do you need a community for women right now? So how do you feel about this question? How do you react?
Sure. It's still shocking that we get asked that question. But I can also understand why, because sometimes some people feel that they're seeing more women around them. What they don't realize is that when we look at sheer numbers of top leadership, women are still outnumbered drastically. In fact, when we did an informal survey a few years ago, the percentage of Indian female creative directors was less than 8, which is drastically low. So keeping that in mind, of course, we need a community that's constantly focused on that goal, on making the balance more equal. And then, look at what's happening in India. Like, we had some great women CCOs resign from their jobs in the last couple of years. Like, is the industry designed for them? Are the systems designed for them? There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And the last reason, every year we see an industry body doing something that shouldn't be done in 2025. I recently saw a jury that was selecting the next generation of creative leaders, both men and women, but the jury itself was skewed towards men. It was 18 men and 4 women. Now, what's the message we are sending to younger creatives? Is that what their future looks like? Can they even, what'll they keep in mind when they're applying for that? So, we all know that women and men bring a different perspective, and how important it is to have that voice equal in the room, especially in a country that's supposed to be the youngest in the world. Look at us. Most women and men in India have access to a cell phone. So the country is progressing faster than any other in the world.
So can you tell me a little more about the initiatives taken by this platform to advance this cause?
We've been existent for around 8 years now, approximately. Initially we were still finding our feet. We were a little bit rough. But there's many things that we do. I think our three pillars are retention, hiring, and growth. Those are the three pillars that we primarily want to focus on. So when it comes to growing women, there's a lot of focused initiatives that we do throughout the year. There's the portfolio evening that's in partnership with DNAD and TDP that we do every year. It's a great flagship program for us. It's done on ground, it's done online. So it's done on ground in Bombay. So that's great for women creatives in Bombay, but online it gives women around the country access to it. And both winners get to travel to London for free. So that has worked out great in the past. And I think in the recent years, we had Godrej as a sponsor. So shout out to Swati for making that happen. We also do Cannes Lions scholarships. So that's part of, again, one of our programs that's focused on growing women. We do that at early every year, mostly between Jan and Feb. And the goal of that is to give a younger creative woman access to Cannes, and it's a full-on competition. There's a proper brief by an organization, and the winner gets to travel. So those are the two that we focus on. A lot of the work that we do is also informal, so we're constantly talking to people in leadership positions to hire women, to recommend women. We are speaking to juries. So a lot of award shows approach us for gender balanced juries. So a lot of the recommendations that go from India, a lot of times is through us. And then visibility, I think, is really important. We've been saying this, but press, what can we do to amplify, uplift more women in press? That's definitely a constant. I always say this to all the channels, so I will say that to you too. For every Manu feature, remember, there's a woman, an equally talented woman in the industry. So, that's the way you keep your count. And throughout the year on Instagram, we're doing, a lot of leadership visibility sessions, mentorships. So that's primarily what we do.
In one of these interviews you had given, you said that you work on weekends on the platform. So could you take us through a typical weekend?
Yeah, yes, it takes a lot to run a community like this. I'm so glad to be with a team that's committed to the cause. None of us get paid for it. This is not for anything but to change what's happening in the industry. So that comes with a fair amount of effort. I wouldn't say every weekend I'm doing the same thing. Like I said, I talked about the initiatives. So, those happen in peaks. Those are focused. But beyond that, I think mentoring women personally is really important to each of us. We're constantly helping with informal chats with CCOs on what the leadership looks like in their agencies. So more of that. But it's not every weekend, but a lot of my weekends go into it. And a lot of my nights, because I am not in India.
Yes, working across time zones can be tricky. It takes a lot of dedication to get all of this together. And it's very evident that you really love what you do, because it shows in even the brand identity that you've created, the colors, the logo design, the website. It's well structured and well thought through. So I want to know, how did you all go about creating this logo and this brand identity?
I have never been asked that question, so thank you for asking that. When we started, we were very informal, how you start things on your own. We did not believe in perfectionism, but soon we realized who we were, what our voice was. I have to give the credit to Avni Rajesh, who's a designer, and Dhwani Shah, both of whom made our logo. There are two versions of it, but the one that you're seeing is the one that we've been using. If you notice carefully, it's an I. Like you see the dot on the top, it's an I being Indian individual identity. The three colors that you see, red, blue, and pink, are very carefully chosen. Pink represents femininity. Blue obviously represents masculinity, and that's to say we can't get there if we just work in silos. We've got to work together. Red represents boldness, energy, a focus. Like I said, we're all about actionable solutions. And the eye on top, which is the small dot on top, I always say that's the Indian bun for a woman. It's the human head. It represents being Indian in that logo itself.
So since this platform is all about creative women, what are the efforts that you take to, sharpen their craft or help women creatives master their craft?
So portfolio evening is where it really starts from. When we get to portfolio evening, there's a lot of work we've done throughout the year on our Instagram channels. So we do sessions around personal branding, how to put a portfolio together. We've done some live sessions around what to keep in your portfolio, what not to keep in your portfolio. So those are really critical things at that stage. But as we move along, we're constantly celebrating the work that's winning awards. We're constantly celebrating work that's making an impact. One of the things we've done with Curious is the Purple Elephant. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's something that we started together, and it was to reward work that was making a real impact when it came to gender. So, craft-wise, we're up there. Individually, all of us as a team, we're all thriving creatives. It's not like we're from outside the industry and we're sitting in a corner and running this community. We're all pursuing craft every day in our everyday work. So some of that reflects in the way we run the community and how we're constantly shaping women to get there.
So that brings me to my next question about your team. So it's a dynamic team. There's a lot of award-winning creative women part of your team. I also noticed that you have Deepa Shankar on board, who's a diversity and inclusion consultant. This shows your dedication to delivering comprehensive and inclusive solutions. You actually are walking the talk.
Yeah, so a lot of my team is, like I said, from the industry. There's me. There's Vinayfur Dulani, who's at Talented. There's Harshada Menon, who's at DDP. There's Samu Murli, also from Talented. And there's Dhwani Shah, who works in the US with a UI UX agency that's creating social impact. So, and we also have Pragya from Zomato. So we're a team of 6 plus 1. Our seventh person is not from the industry because we really needed an outsider point of view. This is a person who we have truly admired. She's someone I've worked with in the past when I was not in the industry. I was in tech before. And she's led many organizations. She is so incredible. She's always the voice of reason because we're all like creatives. So, we like to improvise, but she's the one who'll help us assess the current state. She'll provide more of a strategic roadmap. What is really DEI? Is it just diversity? No, we need to focus on equity and inclusion, intersection, all of those things. One of the things we've been working on together is a survey. We've done that informally in the past, but we'd like to do more of a structured survey that really assesses what women are, where women are in the industry. So that's definitely in the works. When it comes to anything metrics, anything survey, anything strategic, she's the person who helps us. I also want to say she's available to hire by agencies who want to do trainings. So, a lot of agencies will come to us and be like, what do we do? So, and of course, we can help them as a community, but I always say, commit to the cause and have, whether it's unconscious bias training or cultural sensitivity, gender sensitivity, like those are all trainings that we can curate for them. And by we, I mean Deepa. She works as an independent consultant too. We're pretty much non-profit.
I'm curious to know if your work extends beyond legacy agencies. Like, are you working with creators from smaller towns, independent agencies, tier 2, tier 3 cities?
Not really, to be honest. I think we'd like to get there. Maybe it'll take us a couple of years to get there. We do work with a few colleges informally, and I think the goal of that is to sign up women for portfolio evening. Our Cannes Lions scholarship is also open to everyone, including freelancers. So it doesn't matter whether you're in the agency or freelancing. So that way we're open to women outside the main cities. But I think there's definitely way more work to be done there.
Yes, there seems to be a major gap. A lot of women need to move to bigger cities to find employment. And the ones who stay back in smaller cities do not get the right opportunities in terms of working with bigger brands or larger projects. So at this point, visibility and access becomes so important. I mean, it's not just for opportunities, also for women to find their own community or build community or be part of one. So that brings me to the next question about your efforts to build a growing community. I mean, in terms of visibility, reach, and which is very crucial in these times. So could you tell us more about the efforts the platform is making in that direction?
We haven't done anything consciously that makes our reach bigger. So we haven't invested anything financially to increase our reach. We've been mainly word of mouth. And I think the content we put up is so strategic and so focused that in itself is the reason why our community has grown so big. We're over 4,000 plus creatives on Instagram, and mainly women, mostly women. So that's that. I think the goal is also to do stronger initiatives throughout the year that can help us with that reach. For instance, Curious, partnering with Curious is, it's a huge stage. So that's helped because we announced our Cannes Lions scholarship winner at Curious. Curious is the biggest partner for that scholarship. So some of those things have helped us. Would I like the reach to be more? Yes, but do I want it to be everyone and anyone? Absolutely not. I think quality over quantity for us is really, really important. We want people to be taking away a lot of the things we are putting out there versus just following us for the sake of it. So, that's pretty much the reason why we've stayed so niche. I think we can still get better at our agency reach. It also comes from a commitment from leadership. So, but that's definitely an area of improvement for us.
Do you think organizations or entities should be taking to amplify diversity and inclusion in their own ecosystems?
There's a lot that can be done. I think I've already hit on a couple of important points. But entities, I would like to put entities as organizations, press, and men in leadership positions. So as far as organizations are concerned, I think, again, having a goal. So when they're doing their annual planning, please make gender equality a part of that. And then create a roadmap on how to get there. I've casually heard leaders say that, women leave because they have personal responsibilities. Like, yes, it's a systemic issue, but what are you doing to help that? What are you doing to support women in that respect? Hiring more moms, I've always said this, like moms bring such a unique perspective. I mean, look where we are right now in the country, millennials, the age group, Gen Z, like you'll have so many moms in our country suddenly, and then there will be no moms in the rooms that are making the work. So making sure that you are creating the best environment for them to thrive is definitely critical. And then, there are so many things, committing to their growth, creating systems that support them. That would be one. Press, visibility. Platforms like you are really important to further our cause. But more than that, platforms like you can really make sure that people out there are seeing the women leaders or women or leaders to be. We've across Indian press, and I'm not generalizing, but we've seen the same names of men come up again and again and again. But when you really start looking, there are so many talented women out there. They just don't have the right platform. So reach out to us if you need more women's names. We did a partnership with Manifest where we are constantly looking at their advertising coverage. In fact, on Women's Day this year, Manifest committed to 50% coverage towards women. So those are the steps that are really, really important from a visibility perspective. Visibility makes a huge difference. And lastly, men in leadership positions. And I say men not because, we are enraged and we hate men. No. We are very committed that this change will not happen without men. Like that goes unsaid. That's something we've constantly talked about, and we've had really good allies, to support our community. There are so many. There's Harshad from Ogilvy. There's Burzin Mehta, who was at Ogilvy too. There's PG Aditya. You're also seeing amazing leaders who are doing that on their own. You have Ashish at Enormous, who is actually creating a team that's filled with women. So the first thing I say to men is be active allies. Speak up when women's ideas are being overlooked. Credit women's contributions. Make sure that you're recommending women in rooms they are not in. So that's really important. When you're signing up for a jury, there's no harm in asking, hey, what does the balance look like? And I will commit to this only when you do 50-50. I know a few men who've done that in this part of the world, in the US, but not really in India. I think that's something I ask of men to do. And then, making sure that you're holding co-workers responsible. There are so many casual jokes, microaggressions that are dropped every day. And men can help men be better at that, like call them out. And the last thing I'd like to say is just listen. Please listen to the women. Don't assume, don't think that this happens a certain way and oh my gosh, like be open to conversations, have the difficult conversations, don't be afraid to bring those topics.
You mentioned empathy and language earlier, two things I feel often tend to be missing when it comes to men engaging in such conversations. I also think there are many men who want to be allies but simply don't have the tools or the awareness or the language. So do you see your platform playing a role in bridging this gap? Maybe through campaigns, workshops, or initiatives that build that kind of understanding?
Yes. We've done that in the past quite a bit, but every year we do one thing that's focused towards them. So this year we're actually doing a huge event, which I'm not supposed to talk about, but we're doing a huge event hopefully in November, and that's going to be in partnership with Cannes Lions. And it's going to be in Bombay. And one of the sessions is exactly about that. So more to come on that, but I think we can do more for sure. But I also say this, I'm not going to, our community is not going to go around with a microphone and be like, hey, men, where are you? The intent is so important and it has to come from men. It just cannot be out there. Rahul Matthew is a great example from TDP. He's the one committed to the portfolio evening cause. He's come to us many times and he's actually made that better year on year. So it really comes from intent. It cannot be, I don't know, but I want to do something. Yes, of course, we are here to create a plan because they have that power. So, just using it in the right way, we're always there to support it.
So what's in store for Indian creative women the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see the platform going? What are the next steps?
Great question. So I think 3 to 5 years, I would say more 3 to 5 years, definitely a formalized survey and a formalized impact report that shows what we've done in the last few years and what's happening right now in the industry. That's going to be really key for us. The second thing I want to talk about is geographical expansion. That's something we've spoken about. We have women in South Asia from other countries who've been reaching out to us, so that's definitely on the cards. Even I would say in the UK and the US, in some capacity, not starting as big as Indian creative women has become, but starting small and getting there. More of that, and hopefully more support from agencies. I definitely see a future where we can get better with our partnership with agencies, and you know, women leadership is not a thing to talk about. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen in the next 5 years, to be honest. I don't think we're going to be equal in the next 5 years. Well, I always say this, our end goal is to not exist, which is a very idealistic way to look at it. But I wish communities like us didn't have to exist. But the world is not like that. So, yeah, those are pretty much our.
So that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for sharing your rich insights. I've learned a lot today. Your platform brings about change by asking the right questions, by mentoring, by leading, and refusing to be silent, which is so important. Because I think platforms like these spark like big change. I wish you all the best, and a big thank you to all our listeners. Please show your support for Indian creative women by following their Instagram account and attending their events. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, please follow us on Instagram, forward this episode to your loved ones, friends, colleagues, whoever you feel needs to hear this. I'm your host, Ashwin Dutt Ponamgi, and I'll see you next time.